going to be very hard to identify them by linebacker, wide receivers.
I get it now. Ed, they just want to make it challenging to call the games. Time for stories to start your morning, brought to you by the unexpected energy of ExxonMobil.
Some unexpected energy from LeBron right there.
Lakers snapping their one-game losing streak last night, taking down the Nuggets on the road, 105-96. LeBron and AD totally in sync. Both had 25 points, both on 9 of 18 shooting, both made 6 free throws, both had 3 fouls, and get this, both played 37 minutes. Keep in mind, AD did this while battling flu-like symptoms before the game. Nick, how confident are you in the Lakers as they continue this tough stretch of their schedule?
Well, this is the hardest game they're going to play until they play Milwaukee shortly before Christmas. Then they have the home Christmas Day game against the Clippers. Winning, Nuggets came into the game second in the West. It's one of the hardest places to play. And the Lakers, after the opening 2 minutes, led the entire game except for 19 seconds. They took this game seriously. You could see it after they had a lethargic 10-game winning streak where they would only really go full out for stretches of time. And Brian, Anthony Davis's defense was so exceptional last night, making Nikola Jokic wanted to be anywhere but on the court dealing with AD. It was a great win for the Lakers.
We know how talented the Lakers are. We know LeBron is one of the best players in the world. Same thing with Anthony Davis, but it's their defense. They have the small thing called want-to. They just actually want this more than anyone else. They want to win 70-plus games. They want to get home court advantage. This is all about them and their desire to win. This is something that you can't say about Kawhi. He's taking games off. The Lakers won it. That's why they continue to win these basketball games.
All right, Luka Doncic was in his bag yet again last night. Mavs won 118-97 over the Pelicans, and Luka had 33 points and 18 rebounds in 28 minutes. He had 15 points and 10 boards in just the third quarter. He's the first guard with those numbers in a quarter in the last 20 seasons of basketball. Nick, what's the ceiling for this guy?
The ceiling? And by the way, 18 rebounds is comedy. That's an outrageous achievement for a player at his position. I know the Mavs playing at a fast pace, but it's wild. The ceiling for Luka? Man, to be one of the 10 greatest players of all time. That's the ceiling. That is the ceiling. If he never improves at all, he's one of the 30 greatest players ever. If he just stays healthy and keeps up something close to this level of production for a decade. But the ceiling is he is a Mount Rushmore player. He is so good.
How old is he?
20 years old.
20 years old.
And he's so young, Brian.
What I love about Luka is that his game is not predicated on speed or quickness. It's about getting to his spot as slow as he can and then just making a jump shot. Get into his spot, driving the lane, being able to just pull up and stop and shoot the basketball. That actually goes on for your entire career. You don't get older and stop being able to do that. It's about the step back. So his game is not going to get tired. It's not going to get old as he continues to age. His game will continue to get better, just like fine wine. I agree with you. The Hall of Fame, the top 10 players, certainly is his ceiling.
And by the way, those 18 rebounds, he got a 7'4" guy on his team who's in his career has never had a 15 rebound game.
All right, moving on to the Lakers.
Physical?
No.
Who snapped their one-game losing streak. They took down the Nuggets on the road last night, 105-96. LeBron and AD totally in sync. Here's how I know. Both with 25 points, both on 9 of 18 shooting, both made 6 free throws, both had 3 fouls, both played 37 minutes. Keep in mind, AD did this while battling flu-like symptoms before the game. Nick Wright, how confident are you in the Lakers as they continue this tough stretch of their schedule right now?
Well, I was incredibly confident before last night's game. But I was very interested in watching last night's game because the Lakers had clearly come out and said, this is an important one for us. Not just because they'd come off a loss, but because they heard what everyone's saying, that all of a sudden strength of schedule is not just a college football argument, but it's going to be an NBA argument. That all of a sudden, I'm very excited, and they are too, I'm sure, for the narrative after a decade it was, LeBron is feasting on the least of the East. Wait about 2 more weeks. And what you're going to start hearing is, I can already see the columns from our friend Chris Mannix on SI.com. You know, don't look now, but has the East overtaken the West as the more dominant kind? Is the West watered down this year? Because you've got to find a justification for LeBron going to L.A. and after a year ruined by injury, running roughshod over the conference. But the Lakers knew the importance of this game. Denver is the team that's second place in the West right now, Brian. And what they did was, after falling down 5-0, they led every other minute of the game except for a 19-second mini stretch in the third quarter. They essentially let it wire to wire. LeBron and AD were LeBron was good. AD was spectacular because even though, Jenna, to your point, that LeBron and AD had the same offensive lines, Anthony Davis's defense was out of this world. Nikola Jokic would have rather spent 60 minutes on a treadmill than do what he did last night against Anthony Davis. And it was a great, dominant win, even if the final margin wasn't dominant, because they were in total control throughout the entire basketball game. Now, they got a really tough back-to-back at Utah tonight, so we'll see if they can bring that same intensity. But this was a good check mark in the season.
Wait, and we should add that not only did he have flu-like symptoms, AD had to have an IV in his arm at halftime just to have the energy to come back out and play in the second half.
The dominant teams, the best teams in NBA history, have been able to turn it on and off whenever they want to. The Lakers still have that same ability. They have the ability to say, okay, for these next 12 minutes, we're going to play defense. We're going to just hustle on defense, get some fast break buckets. You talk about what the Lakers are doing. I love the fact that they are third in the league in fast break buckets. They are getting down the floor, getting easy buckets for LeBron, AD. The other part that they're doing that I love is that they're second in points in the paint. They're getting the ball down low. They're getting contributions from, of course, Anthony Davis, but also Dwight Howard. You're getting points down low.
White was excellent.
Yeah, and that's what's going to continue to help them to grow. LeBron, you know, he is special. We all know that, and he can turn it on. But he's getting the ball to everyone around him, allowing the other guys to help them win basketball games. That's going to allow him to have more longevity. And when you talk about winning basketball games, they're talking about going into the postseason with home court advantage. That's why they're playing so hard right now. That's why they're doing all these things, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I don't see that changing, especially on this road stand.
And listen, the single toughest back-to-back in the NBA right now is at Denver, at Utah. Most teams never do it. The Lakers got to do it right now. The reason it's so tough is the altitude in Denver. It's a really, really good team. That home court advantage in Utah might be the best in the whole sport. And so some would say Lakers-Clippers is the toughest back-to-back, but there's no travel involved in that. It might be the two better teams. There's no travel. If the Lakers sweep this back-to-back, I don't want to hear another mumbling word about the schedule because we're a quarter of the way through the season. They got the best record in the NBA. I'll be very interested if they come out with the same level of intensity tonight, or if they look at it as we almost did like in a playoff series when you take the first game on the road. Like we got the split.
Right.
We did what we came here to do. I'm curious to see how they look tonight. But last night they were great.
They seem very hungry.
Your two favorite players, Giannis and Lakers, both Bucks and Lakers tied for the best record in the league.
Absolutely.
Back to the NFL. So James Harden dropped 50 in a double overtime thrilling loss to the Spurs last night, but it should never have come to that. So just under 8 minutes left in the fourth, Harden had a steal and a dunk that was not counted, even though you can see that the ball clearly goes through the hoop. The NBA office will reportedly take some sort of action. Check it out again. Nick, what'd you make of this play last night?
All right, well, this is a terrible job by the refs, obviously. And by the way, this isn't why the Rockets lost. I know it's easy to say, well, it went to overtime. If you add 2 points, they win. And the Rockets had a 22-point lead, and they seemed desperate to blow that game. Now, I like the Rockets. I like Harden. I like the organization. So I'm not someone that some folks come on television, no matter the Rockets can do no right. But they played just badly enough to lose last night. But this should never happen. The rule, Brian, is the ball has to travel all the way through the cylinder.
Which it did.
Which it did. And then the Rockets call timeout. They clearly want to either challenge it or discuss it. The referees after the game said the Rockets didn't tell them they wanted to challenge it in time. That seems questionable.
Because I think you have 30 seconds.
Right, but the Rockets immediately called timeout and they're complaining about it. And the referees just blew this. They just screwed it up.
You have 3 referees on the court. What are they looking at? What are you looking at beside the guy with the ball, putting the ball through the hoop?
And the ball itself.
Other than that, there's nothing else for you to look at. They have a sweeper on the floor. That's the only thing that you should be looking at. You're not looking at fouls. You're not looking at away from the basketball. It's this guy with the ball going through the hoop. That's an easy call. And
listen, that was, again, despite that, the Rockets had plenty of opportunities to win.
They should have still won the game.
No, they squandered that.
They squandered that. But that, and by the way, it's such a missed call. It's in play about a decade ago. The NBA fouled out Shaquille O'Neal with 5 fouls, and not the NBA, a team, the refs did. And they went back, the Suns protested, this was when Shaq was on the Suns, protested, and they went back and replayed the final few minutes of the game. They picked it up at that moment. The Rockets are going to file a protest. It's on the board. they say we're replaying this game from 7:50 on, and you know what I mean, we're going to pretend that the double overtimes never happened and make you redo it. It's that type of mistake that just can't happen.
What happens if this is the one game they needed to get home court advantage? That's going to be a problem.
Every game in the West is going